Home Depot, they kicked off a big week of retail earnings this morning with another drop in same-store sales. The home improvement retailer saw sales fall 2% compared to a year ago, driven lower by a decrease in transaction growth and a lower average ticket growth. Now, the company also reaffirmed its guidance that it set last quarter, expecting a drop in sales and adjusted earnings for the full year as consumers remain cautious. Home Depot did beat analyst expectations for revenue for the first time in 3 quarters. That came in at $42.92 billion in Q2. And adjusted earnings per share, that came in at $4.46. So a slight beat there. And we had some of our key takeaways, what you need to know essentially from some of the earnings that came out from Home Depot. And one of the things that immediately jumped out to me is how they're looking across the consumer, the state of the consumer right now. And I'll kind of go backwards on this one. That big ticket discretionary pressure, they're saying that continued. You think about some of the categories where this has also impacted Best Buy and Walmart and Target, where they're not seeing some of perhaps those appliances even move out of the in-store capacity or perhaps on that online purchasing capacity. That requires even better inventory judgment and more of a management ability. And I think they're doing that a little bit better year over year here too.
Yeah, the shares are not moving much this morning on these numbers. I mean, if you look at the numbers, they're bad, but they're not as bad as estimated. It's one of those situations. So comparable sales down 2%, both overall and domestically. And the company says for the full year, comps are going to fall 2 to 5%. So they're going to continue to see weakness here. That doesn't seem to be going anywhere. So while these numbers were not as bad as estimated, directionally, this is not great news for them. We talked about the buyback, too. I think you mentioned the buyback, the $15 billion.
I did not know.
Okay.
All you.
They did authorize a new buyback of up to $15 billion. So, you know, when you see companies do that, when they report results that are less than stellar, it's sort of them saying, like, stick with us. Yeah. This will help you ride it out. We'll give you some, you know, return some reassurance. To shareholders, exactly.
That we are comfortable and confident with the pathway that we've set forward ahead, sure. And that's typically, and can be a sort of backstop if you did see some more slippage in either sentiment or even in the share price as reflected, perhaps to a certain extent in the sentiment there. But all these things considered for Home Depot and the smaller projects that they did cite as well here. I mean, I consider myself, or at least I count myself in some of those smaller projects. I'm just hanging photos around the house, trying to figure out how I can hang my canvases. So I've got some of those small projects. I did rode my bike to a Home Depot over the weekend recently. That'll show up in next quarter's report, perhaps. Yeah,
we returned something to Home. We bought something from Home Depot and returned something to Home Depot. Their staff is not always the best. That's what I would say about that.
Great aprons, though.
Unfortunately.
Solid.
Sure. Stellar aprons.